You know that this indictment handed up by Fulton County has charged Donald Trump.
Business picks up a little bit, but guys, midweek, oh my goodness.
Episode 4 of the series Trump Indicted aired last night. What's in it? What's it say? And what does it mean? Also, crime rampant in California. I know that that's a redundant thing to say when you say California. Obviously, it associates with crime. How much money has Budlight lost? And what does it look like on the ground level? All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
2, 1.
Here we go!
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually their name, Jobob.
Live from the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is Tuesday, August 15th, year of our Lord 2023. And yes, episode 4 of Donald Trump being indicted / charged came down last night in Fulton County, Georgia. 10 new counts of various things for the President of the United States, but also, I think 18 other people, 19 people in total. It is now a RICO charge, so that's another interesting kind of twist and turn. So we'll get to that first and talk about that up front. Now, here's the thing. I didn't pull any of the clips from any of the punditry, any of that sort of stuff, because I really just wanted to point out one particular thing, and we'll do that in a little bit, because I think it sheds so much light on the inability of ideologically blinded people to recognize what it is that they're doing. So there's that. Now, bottom line, first off, to not bury the lead here, I did not see anything crazy like I think a lot of people were expecting. If you count the former president's 4 indictments, you've got the Manhattan one, which is almost hilarious. Not almost hilarious. It is actually hilarious. It's a campaign finance violation, which every single person who's ever been in politics has paid a campaign violation fine. That's a big nothing burger. The documents charge at Mar-a-Lago is the second indictment. We'll circle back to that. The third is the Jack Smith federal indictment on, quote unquote, trying to overturn the election. That I don't think the prosecution really has any shot. And I think from a optics storytelling side, I think the Trump campaign and Republicans as a whole, I think, benefit from that. Just from the fact of the thing that Trump has to prove is that there is reasonable people could have believed that there is some hanky-panky, hinkiness, whatever, going on in the 2020 election, which is not going to be difficult to prove. And then this fourth one, which effectively, at least the way I see it, and again, I haven't gone through the entire punditry on it. I haven't read the entire 100-page, 98-page document. This seems like a carbon copy of the D.C. indictment that special counsel Jack Smith charged the president with. And what I mean to say by that is it doesn't appear that there is any new kind of, well, we found this text message or this phone call. Doesn't seem like anything that we knew about, that we didn't already know about, is now in this new indictment. The way that it's structured as a RICO charge with multiple people attached to it is kind of an interesting legalistic wrinkle that I'll be honest with you, I don't even quite understand how that plays into it. But I think 19 people in total have been charged, 18 other people, including the 18 people and former President Donald Trump. As far as the 18 other people go, who knows? I have no idea how that's going to play out. But in terms of the 10 particular indictments for Donald Trump, from what I'm reading and all the stuff that I'm seeing, it is going to be pretty dang difficult to nail any of this down. In terms of finding him guilty, which means that I genuinely think that the biggest legal problem the former president currently has is still the documents case, in which he had documents at Mar-a-Lago and didn't want to give them back, which has so many people, myself included, saying, why didn't you just give the papers back, dude? But this is just the type of headline you've been seeing. This is from the Associated Press. Donald Trump and several associates have been indicted in Georgia over efforts to overturn his 2020 election loss in the state. It is the latest criminal case to be brought against the U.S. former president in a matter of months. That's the typical type of headline that you see. Now, I don't really want to dig into, if you want to, it's kind of interesting. There was some snafu with the reporting on it. There was a news headline thing that went up on I believe it was the county's website, saying, here are all the things we charged Donald Trump with. And that went online before the grand jury voted, which is a whole weird thing in and of itself, but I don't really want to dig too much into that because I'd like to get to some of the varying things that are in this indictment that I think are just, they kind of prove the cases. This is going to be a tough one to pull, again, from the prosecution. Another thing that should be noted, the grand jury in Fulton County, Georgia, was 24 people. And while in a regular prosecution, you have to get a unanimous decision by the jury, you only have to get a majority of people in to decide to indict. So who knows how conclusive the prosecution was, or how brain fog here. The lack of sleep's been killing me. Who knows how persuasive the prosecution was with the grand jury, but you didn't have to have a unanimous decision to indict former president, just had to have a majority. All right, so the guy I've been following Jack Posobic's Twitter feed on this. He's pretty great when it comes to getting stuff out quickly. So here are things that are in the indictment. I'm going to just read this verbatim because I think it's interesting. Act 140, on or about the 6th day of January 2021, Donald Trump placed a telephone call to Vice President Mike Pence and solicited him to disrupt and delay the joint session of Congress on January 6, 2021, the day prescribed by law for counting votes casted by the duly elected qualified presidential electors from Georgia and other states. When Pence refused, Donald Trump stated that Pence would go down as a wimp, and that Pence was not protecting the United States. This was an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. So, making fun of Mike Pence is in this indictment. Let me explain. Look, all of the things that it says in this particular section are true, I guess, effectively. But when Pence refused, Donald John Trump, all caps, bolded, stated that Pence would go down as a wimp and that Pence was not protecting the United States. To my knowledge, calling somebody a wimp, insulting them, which I don't think he should have done. I don't think Donald Trump should have called Mike Pence a wimp and said, you'll go down as a wimp. But to then say and follow up with, this was an overt act in the furtherance of the conspiracy. Seriously, Donald Trump, in part, is being indicted for making fun of Mike Pence, which he shouldn't have done. I wouldn't have advised him to do that. Like, can you imagine that phone call? You're going to go down in history as a wimp, Mr. Pence. Pence says, okay, hangs up the phone. a really big stretch there, Fulton County, Georgia. I'm not sure if you can really nail the former president on that one. Here's another one. Act 28. On or about the 5th day of January 2021, Donald John Trump, all caps, bolded, caused to be tweeted from the Twitter account. I don't know why they use like Yoda language. Effectively, Donald John Trump tweeted this. The vice president has the power to reject fraudulently elected. I'm getting all screwed up. Donald Trump tweeted this. The vice president has the power to reject fraudulently chosen electors. And they followed that up with, this was an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. The problem with that is if, again, you're trying to prove what Donald Trump believed at the time, which is so dang freaking difficult to prove. If Donald Trump believes that there are fraudulently chosen electors, then the vice president, who is tasked with, I read into this, opening up the letters that have the votes, then I guess effectively you can make the argument that the vice president doesn't believe that the electors chosen were chosen justly if he believes that those electors sent to D.C. to choose the president were elected fraudulently. He doesn't then need to open the letters. Now, again, whether or not that's actually legit and true is not the case that Donald Trump's defense needs to make. The case they need to make is Donald Trump believed that to be true. And if you outline the thing in its entirety of like, check out all of the weirdness going on around the Georgia election. Check out all of this kind of the voting centers closing early and the machines not working and this and that and the other thing. And look at how close it was and all of these things. If Trump believed that the Electoral College electors were put in place fraudulently, if he actually truly believed that, him saying the vice president can delay or deny by not doing what I think the 12th Amendment says the vice president has to do, which literally is receive the mail effectively and open the letters, then what he said, regardless of what happened, seems to be, you can make the argument that he believed that was a thing, which is, again, one of the bigger problems that I think the prosecution is going to run into. And this last one, Act 22, says, on or about the 3rd day of December 2020, Donald John Trump, all caps, bolded, caused to be tweeted. He tweeted from his Twitter account, Georgia hearings now on OAN, amazing, exclamation point. That's it. That's all they say. He tweeted, Georgia hearings now on OAN, period, amazing, exclamation point. And the indictment says, this was an overt act of furtherance of the conspiracy. Is this it? I guess I don't know. And I say this as a person who has been critical of Trump sticking his foot in his mouth a bunch of times. Saying things that I wish he wouldn't have said, or all of that sort of stuff. Love the policy, love the judges, all of those things. But at the end of the day, this doesn't look any better than the Jack Smith indictment, which again leaves us with the biggest problem that President Trump currently has is the Mar-a-Lago case, which is just what a crazy thing. What a crazy time to be alive. Now, I did want to play this one video clip because I think this is this summarizes this 8-second clip of, I believe, the sheriff in Fulton County. Not really sure. Talking about how they're going to bring Trump in when he voluntarily surrenders, which he has to do before, I believe, August 28th. Just kind of goes to show you how out of touch with the way politics works some people are. Watch this. Oh, good. There's no audio. Okay. Wow. I'm not sure how that happened. Sorry about that. Basically, he's saying we're going to follow the normal protocol and we're going to get a mugshot of Donald Trump, which might, if you think, first things first, you don't need a mugshot for Donald Trump. When mugshots were like a thing, it was so that people could recognize the criminal if something were to happen. That it could be for the police department to say, okay, this is the guy. Here's his mugshot. We need to go after him because he's escaped our jail or has jumped bail or any of these things. This is why we have the mugshot. People know what Donald Trump looks like. There's no need for a mugshot. Obviously, he's avoided mugshots in the Manhattan case and then also the federal cases. But that was that police officer there, I believe the chief or sheriff of Fulton County saying, yeah, we're going to do our normal thing. We'll get you guys a mugshot. If you think that Donald Trump should not be the president of the United States, should never run again, if that's what you believe, getting a mugshot of the president as some sort of trophy or aha, we got you, and thinking that that's going to hurt him might possibly be one of the dumbest assumptions of all time. If there is a mugshot, which I think the attorneys for Trump are going to make sure that there aren't, if there is a mugshot, that mugshot will raise $100 million for the president's campaign. I will probably take the mugshots and plaster them on t-shirts and sell them on the internet. That mugshot will be monstrously beneficial, not to the side that hates Donald Trump. It will be massively beneficial to Donald Trump himself. Can you imagine the commercials being played in all of the swing states of a mugshot of the former president of the United States? The thought that there are people out there that want that sort of thing, like I said, as a trophy, not understanding the implications that it would have on the benefit to the president of the United States, former president. It blows my mind how you wouldn't understand that. But I don't know. We're in crazy times, and yeah, I like reading some of the comments. Yeah. Oh, interesting. We've got a bunch of people. Well, maybe we'll get into some comments while we kind of move on to the next thing. But bottom line is, that's it. I don't know that there's any other outstanding indictments. I'm really curious. Can you indict a sitting president? I don't actually know that. So if anybody in the comments knows, can you tell me? Can you indict a sitting president? Because if part of the indictment is a tweet saying Georgia hearing is on OAN, amazing. You know, whether or not that's a good tweet, if that's included in the indictment, pretty thin there. And so, from a presidential standpoint, if you can indict a sitting president, I don't actually know. Let's just leave all the Hunter stuff out and the big guy and all that stuff, because all of that's circumstantial and that's probably up for the voters to decide. But I don't know. You probably can indict Joe Biden on the handling of the border. Like there's actual harm being done to American citizens by the policies and the straight up lies from the president and his administration. So I don't know. If Donald Trump can be indicted in Fulton County and the Manhattan district in New York, I think I think we've just opened the floodgates. I think somebody said there's no more Rubicons to cross in terms of just, I feel like every president is going to get indicted somewhere for something at this point, and have to deal with that. Shoot. Rambled on about that for quite a bit, which leaves us little time to get to this. That's the end of that. We'll see what happens. Oh, Cindy says, and I have no idea if this is correct, but I'll take Cindy's word. No, you cannot indict a sitting president. Okay, so the second Joe Biden leaves office, there should be some sort of indictment coming from somewhere, just because that's where we are at a country now. I also think not the right time and place. I think more presidents should be impeached. I think the president should be impeached a couple times per term. I don't really have time to elaborate on that, but the bottom line is Congress saying, hey, you're not doing your job in this particular area. I don't think being impeached is such a bad thing. Now, whether or not the Senate convicts, who knows? But more charges should be brought against all the presidents, like just presidents in general. Hey, they're a boss hired to do a job, and the only time they get held accountable is every 4 years? Nah. How about, longer conversation for a different time. Moving on to this, because this is interesting and fun. As a person who is on the internet and does internet things, if you don't already follow me on just any of the social media platforms, just type in Jobob, you'll be able to find me. As a person who has lots of emails in my inbox about posting to Instagram and, hey, we'll pay you this much money to post to this. It is kind of interesting. So just a little peek behind the curtain here, and I'll work this back to this story eventually. The average kind of rate is like $10-ish per 1,000 followers. So if you have 50,000 followers, the cost to post on your Instagram for an advertiser is, roughly $500. If you have $100,000 followers, about $1,000 to post on your Instagram page. Which, okay, did I get those numbers right? I'm like, maybe it's 10,000. Doesn't matter. There's a standardized way of posting on Instagram. And so if you get to the higher echelons of Instagram fame, you have LeBron James, Kim Kardashian, The Rock, and the amount of money that it costs to post on their Instagram pages are in the millions. I think I forget who it was, but some celebrity somewhere was paid like $2 or $3 million to post something to their Instagram page. In other words, it costs a lot of money to do an Instagram post for businesses. Having said that, it is nowhere near the cost of this particular Instagram post. Remember, this is where all of this started. The Dylan Mulvaney Budlight thing started as an Instagram post. And it has not cost Bud Light a couple $1 million to post on Instagram. It has cost them, currently, the figure stands right at about now, $27 billion, which is a heavy price to pay. $27 billion. And that's a loss in value due to the loss in revenue, to the loss of orders, people losing their jobs. But there's this video making the rounds that I wanted to throw on here of Sturgis. Sturgis is the motorcycle, I don't know, motorcycle get-together convention rally. That's what it is. It's the biggest motorcycle rally, I believe, in the world. It happens in Sturgis, South Dakota, I think. No, or North Dakota. One of the Dakotas. Interestingly enough, my family, we were on a road trip one time. I think I was probably 15, 16 years old, and happened to be in the area when Sturgis was going on. And it was actually really cool just going around there. Anyways, there's a video from Sturgis of the Bud Light tent there. And, well, it's pretty self-explanatory. Watch this.
Here we are, Sturgis, Bud Light tent midweek. Any improvement? That's what we hope. Folds of Honor is here. The Bud Light tent, we're hoping business picks up a little bit, but guys, midweek, oh my goodness. Wow. Guys, are we seeing any uptick in business here? A little bit, okay. Okay. All right, we're seeing, hey, let's keep it positive, right? Let's keep it positive. Maybe by the end of the week.
There's that. I'll play this clip in just a second. But yeah, the Bud Light temp just completely empty. And a lot of people correcting me. Jeff says, yeah, it's South Dakota. Ryan says South Dakota. Marcel just laughing. All of our frequent correspondents is what I call you guys who are in the comment sections. Awesome. Jody says, go woke. There's a component. So here's what I wonder. Like, in looking at this, not that guy, how am I just, there we go. This completely empty scene at the Bud Light booth or Budweiser booth at Sturgis. Like, how do you think Dylan sees this? Dylan Mulvaney, the dude doing women cosplay. Do you think he feels bad at all? Because holy cow, regardless of how righteous I think my cause is, if I inflicted this much damage on an entire brand, entire company, people's jobs, I would feel bad. I wonder if Dylan feels bad at all. I wonder if he looks at any of this, let's just stick with the jobs. Like the distributors, the Bud Light buyers, the staff that works on all of these different projects, the marketing team, like all of these people are losing their jobs left and right because there's just no revenue coming in anymore. You think Dylan feels bad about that? I don't know. I would feel horrible that people's livelihoods were lost because I needed to feel validated. Huh. But anyways, one of the not founders, but this dude was on TMZ. His name's Billy Bush, Anheuser-Busch founding grandson. I think his granddad founded the company. Great grandpa. Anyways, his family has been Bud Light through and through. He no longer owns, I think, the company. I think they've sold since, but was on TMZ talking about how the Bud Light family of old would have felt about this. I thought it was kind of interesting. Check it out.
You must have strong opinions about the
Dylan Mulvaney campaign.
Yeah, Dylan Mulvaney campaign.
I think my family, my ancestors would have rolling over in their grave. They were very patriotic. They loved this country and what it stood for. They believed that transgender, gays, that sort of thing was all a very personal issue. They love this country because it is a free country and people are allowed to do what they want. But it was never meant to be on a beer can and never meant to be pushed in people's faces. So they would have they would have never marketed their brands that way. As you know, AB was one of the greatest marketers ever in any business. And they were incredible with what they came out with, the Clydesdales, the frogs, the lizards, all the different promotions they had, all the different advertising they had. And the last thing they would have done was to get as controversial as they did, as InBev has with Dylan Mulvaney advertising.
Do you think that, I mean, look, the motivation behind it was clearly inclusiveness. What do you think of the reaction to to that Instagram post? Because the reaction was seismic.
Yeah, I think people who drink beer, I think they're your common folk. I think they are the blue collar worker who goes out and works hard every single day. And the last thing they want pushed down their throat, or to be drinking is a beer can with that kind of message on it. I just don't think that's what they're looking for. They want their beer to be truly American, truly patriotic, as it always has been, truly America's beer, which Bud Light was and probably isn't any longer.
That's enough of that. I kind of wanted to play that just because I feel like there's no, this is just like, of course. Like, that's obvious, right? Like, isn't that obvious? I don't know. But anyways, that's that. $27 billion gone. A bunch of people in the comments kind of saying, I don't think Dylan feels bad at all. I actually don't think so either. We'll see. We'll see how far it can fall. I wonder if they just get rid of the brand as a whole. That's probably like that. Probably is what's going to happen. Like, what other option is there? Who knows? But that'll do it for us today. Rambled on quite a bit about Trump. Didn't get to the California crime stuff, but don't worry, it'll be here another day. Maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow. But appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. I kind of wanted to like try to remember to do a thing. Just reading the comments as they fly through. I always find some that I think are just funny. Maybe we'll do like an ending segment called like haters. I don't know. Donald says, "Shut up, you fool." That's not the worst one I got today, I think, but it's one that popped up. Thank you, Donald. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate you doing so. But there's your hater comment for the day. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Just type in JOBOB. You'll be able to find me pretty much anywhere. Tickets on sale for Fallbrook, Van Buren, Arkansas. Tulsa goes on sale, I think, tomorrow. And Idaho, not on sale yet. But the comedy tour is coming to your neck of the woods, so would appreciate. Well, if you live in those areas, would love seeing you. We're gonna have a great time doing the Star Spangled Banter comedy tour. But yeah, that'll do it for us. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, probably. God bless America.